skills, this is a fantastic way to get started in there. And now since it's October, you have a couple months to generate some ideas and be able to get started with that. But yeah, looking back on it into like as a college student, I would say it helped me be more confident in myself. Just knowing that people recognize that I was able to do such a thing. And it definitely helped me get more experience and more comfortable speaking to people who were so experienced and had a lot of like insight into different kinds of industries. And the questions they asked were very eye-opening, and kind of remind me of like case studies that I'm doing right now in college. So yeah, definitely recommend to everyone to check this out. And additionally, I'm also a Kairos educator. So if you want to come to me, I'm doing like tutoring. I can do help you with Diamond Challenge prep. I can help you with college essay applications. I've been through it all very recently, as well as transfer applications in the future, if that's something that you want to do or keep in mind. But you can find me on the educator platform. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Grace. That's such an inspiring story. Yes, and it's wonderful to hear that the Diamond Challenge sets you up so well for life in college. And I'm sure you'll find that to be the case with with the working world as well. I know that it's just that this competition is very relevant for, pretty much any kind of real world experience that you could have across industries. So, thank you so much. Uh, And now I am so honored to introduce our main speaker for today, Michael. He is a business and entrepreneurship teacher at the Harker School, which is a famous school. And he's the president of the Startup Garage. He holds an MBA from Tel Aviv University and a bachelor's degree from the University of California, Santa Cruz. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Michael.
Yeah, hi everybody. Thanks so much for being here. I'm really honored to be here. Give me a quick second while I get my screen shared here with y'all. Okay, and off we go. So, just yeah, briefly, my background. I have been teaching entrepreneurship and innovation for the last 10 years at the Harker School. Previously, I was the president at the Startup Garage, where I did early stage consulting consulting with early stage companies, primarily in the seed round to Series A round, that were actively raising capital, and I still do much of that consulting work as well. Um, so what I'm really excited to talk to you all about is number one, the power of teen entrepreneurship in competitions like Diamond Challenge, as you heard about, and we'll talk more about. But there's others, Conrad Challenge, Startup World Cup. I'll give you some real life experiences in addition to Grace's to see how students have been impacted. And then I'll explain where kind of youth get hung up a little bit. And we'll dive into our 9-week program and where we can unlock the process for your students to be winning these competitions as well. So I should say though that entrepreneurship isn't just, about winning competitions or really even just about starting a business. It's really about at this level building the future ready student and the future ready employer or entrepreneur. Through this process, teens learn to think creatively. They learn to take initiative and build the exact type of value that employers are seeking, which is your ability to lead and work in teams and communicate effectively. They learn to tell their stories through a pitch, as well as how to think on their feet through Q&A sessions. And ultimately, they acquire the type of stories that allow them to stand out because they've done something that's real, beyond the theoretical kind of pitches that they may do in class projects or some other competitions. So we often talk about wanting our kids to have resilience, determination, and grit. But at the same time, with the way our school system is built, we can't really tolerate failure, right? Kids need to have all A's. They need to have fives on APs, et cetera. And so what's amazing about teen entrepreneurship is it really is the ground zero for kids learning to flip failure on its head and see it as an opportunity. And competitions truly are the game changer for this. They provide structure and accountability through real world deadlines and deliverables. Students get professional feedback from judges, people in business, venture capital, academia, that not only give them valuable feedback, but often serve as valuable contacts down the road. Additionally, students through this program are encouraged to seek out mentorship in addition to myself and the TAs that are available, in order to further help them build confidence and gain industry insight. And all of this, the work with the mentors, the recognition they get through the competitions, it all shows up on their resumes and college apps, if not, helping them to drive further opportunities to take advantage of. And so competitions serve as this like sandbox where it's safe but real, right? They can develop real products, they can give real pitches, they can develop these skills, but without actually having to, put up a second mortgage on their house in order to launch a product. So I'm going to dive into some real life teen success stories here. These are just two. I regularly see high schoolers raising funding, whether it's grant funding or, friends and family money, or even uh, angel funding. I see them getting featured in the media, getting funding from competitions. And then ultimately, all of this ends up serving as a really powerful, unique story that ends up driving their college essays. And then you'd be surprised for how long they continue to talk about it in clubs at college that they're applying for, internships, jobs. They still go back and talk about the company that they started in high school. So here are some real life examples, as I mentioned, and they all started off exactly where you are, in a curious, state, ambitious, but unsure how to begin, right? And in less than 3 months, they built prototypes, they entered and won competitions, and they launched real companies, as you'll see. So here's a couple. So first up is Naya. She just graduated last year. As you'll hear, she was in our at the Harker School in our entrepreneurship program. She'll reference it. But in any case, it's the same program that I've more or less adapted to what you all be having the opportunity to take. So she, along with two co-founders, started a instant ramen company called Schlurp. It's a gluten-free, low-sodium ramen with 10 grams of protein that fully launched with 20,000 units of inventory. So let me play her quick video.
Hi everyone, my name is Neha Patel Deswani and I am a Harker alum from the class of 2025 and a current freshman at Columbia University. I'm fortunate to have been a part of Harker's incubator program, and I can say with confidence that it has changed my life. As youth, we're often told to solely focus on school and worry about our careers later, but in my experience, that couldn't be farther from the truth. As a youth entrepreneur, I've learned to take meaningful risks in a lower stakes environment, to be able to grow my confidence as both a founder and a public speaker, and to create something that I'm genuinely passionate about. I'm grateful to Harker's Business and Entrepreneurship Department for providing me with the tools and the mentorship as I embarked on my journey. My team and I, in just 1 year, went from having an idea, which was to create the world's healthiest instant ramen, to then completely selling out of our first round of inventory. Along the way, I learned to push past rejection, not to take no for an answer, and to use my position as a youth as an advantage rather than a limitation. Entrepreneurship competitions provided me with the opportunity to showcase both the product that I've created and the skills that I've learned along the way. I learned how to confidently convey my company's mission, as well as also think on my feet during Q&A sessions. Whether it be pitching in Chicago at the Incubator EDU National Pitch Competition, or standing as the only youth finalist at the Startup World Cup in the heart of Silicon Valley, I felt I truly belonged as an entrepreneur and that the sky was the limit. I think that the best time to grow is while we are young, and the foundation that I've built as a youth entrepreneur has not only given me direction, but also passion and confidence as I shape my career. Thank you.
So you can really see that it's, again, I said it's more than just about doing it for college. You're gaining incredible skills that you will use no matter what field you go into. And you're probably going to find some things that you're deeply, deeply passionate about. And again, that's the kind of stuff that even if you are doing it just for college, that resonates with them, right? They want to see what you're all about. So here's another company. It was called Tough Toy. These guys are, I believe, third years in college. One's at USC, one is at UT Austin, and the other one's at Claremont McKenna. I'll let their demo kind of video play as I talk about them. So their product is a toy in a toy kind of concept for dogs. It comes with two plushy exteriors and a scented, durable interior ball. The concept is that once your dog rips up one, you can quickly kind of stick it back into your backup skin. And then they sold additional skins along the way, themed in like football and sports. And then they had a Christmas Santa Claus theme. And so you could kind of order some follow-ups. And so they were phenomenal marketers. If I can get back to my slides, here we go. They were able to get themselves in the Mercury News, had a great write-up that landed them a ton of sales. They ended up having to do another round of inventory because that sold them out. They also got into the Incubator EDU competition and won the biggest check that I know to date. They got $20,000, which they invested into their business. So again, just seeing the power of teen entrepreneurship as well as the competitions that are available supporting these students. So that's some examples for you. Now let's get into, how do we make our kids be successful in this process? So here's the reality. Most students never move past the idea phase, right? They come up with really great ideas, but they don't have structure, they don't have deadlines, they don't have feedback, and they don't have access to frameworks for how to move forward with their ideas. And that's where they get stuck. They're creative, but but any creativity without structure rarely leads anywhere. And so we're here to fix that. We have a 9-week journey that will take the kids through that really mirrors kind of the year-long entrepreneurship course that you heard some of my students talking about. Where really it focuses on going from the idea to rapidly moving into prototyping and collecting customer feedback so that when you fail, notice I didn't say if you fail, when you fail, you can learn from that. It's about increasing the feedback loop as quickly as possible so that you can iterate as many times as possible. And that's how we actually get to success, right? And so all throughout that process, meanwhile, we are keeping the national competitions in the back of our mind, and we're continually working towards that being our goal. And so each Sunday, we meet for 90 minutes of live hands-on instruction. There's minimal lecture because we're really focused on guided application. We want the students putting the processes to work for their own ideas, their own innovations, the problems that they're trying to solve. Every week is driven with a clear deliverable that's associated with achieving a milestone that builds towards this final pitch. So it's kind of bite-sized or portioned into ways where they're focusing on the right piece at the right time, but it's all building a larger puzzle. And during the week, the students will also be meeting in smaller groups for feedback with TAs, really helping them to further their ideas throughout the week, as well as providing that additional layer of accountability to keep them moving at a pace that really allows them to see progress. So diving into those 3 steps, beginning with the ideation, right? Going from the spark, the idea, into having something that you can say, yes, I have clear features. I know what problem it's solving. I know who it's solving for, and I know how we're going to generate revenue for this. That's a big leap, right? And so we help students explore their passions and identify problems worth solving, but then we also help them to validate, and that's the key step, is the validation stage, where they're going to be doing the primary research that maybe they're familiar with, competitive analysis and market analysis, but they're going to take it a step further with secondary research that I guarantee these teenagers are not so familiar with, right? Conducting customer interviews. Ultimately, me and any other advisor can tell them whether we think their features are great, but who cares if we're not their target market? So they need to get out there and talk to their target market and hear from them their pain points and what will solve it for them. And that makes a huge difference in the validation, is getting out of the building, as we like to call it. Next, we turn those ideas into full companies. In the build phase, students will learn to test and prove out their hypotheses. So they'll produce prototypes using tools like Figma, 3D printing. They'll use competitor products. Some will even just go straight into product development. But in any case, they'll run these MVP experiments to gather data and learn how to adapt quickly, learn when and where to pivot. And the goal is to understand how to make something that people actually want so that they don't waste their time and money developing something that is bound to fail. It's hands-on, right? It's really but it's manageable. We give them just enough, as I was mentioned, week to week to progress their idea and their concepts along. And you'd really be surprised how far they can get without any or little to no funding, I should say. Finally, we prepare for pitch. This is where everything comes together. Some students will experience more initial traction than others when it comes to these competitions. Not everyone's going to be able to get to sales, depending on how ambitious their idea is. You heard Grace mentioning medical products, right? They may never get commercial ready with that idea. Others may have something more simple, like a dog toy or a ramen, where they actually are experiencing traction, sales, and marketing metrics that they can rely on. But what's important is not necessarily the traction that you experience, but it's in the art of storytelling, how you convey your idea. And so we've seen students with literally just a prototype, as well as students who have 20,000 units of inventory that can both do well in this process. Again, because that's the art of storytelling really supersedes the rest. And so students will learn how to structure a pitch. They'll learn how to build visuals that can connect ideas or make ideas come to life. They will learn how to present with confidence. We'll be coaching them on their delivery, their body language, and ultimately making sure that we're fulfilling the judging criteria, so we're not losing points, on silly things. And ultimately, these are skills that pay off, right? Whether they're entrepreneurs or not in 10 years from now, the ability to craft a compelling pitch is a lifelong skill. Okay, so a little bit about kind of beyond the competition, what happens after the pitch. For many, it's just the beginning. The students use their projects for other national pitch competitions, whether they do well or not. They have a kind of a turnkey competition package that they can adjust according to the format and enter other competitions. Others will continue to develop their products into real companies, particularly if they're able to acquire funding. These experiences also will become the impetus of some of your college or scholarship essays. So you can further leverage them in that capacity or in stories that you'll incorporate into your interview preparations. Or even using some of the contacts that you get through the entrepreneurial process to identify some internship opportunities that you'll leverage. So it's not just about preparing for the one event. It's clearly, obviously, the lifelong skills, but also then leveraging this pitch competition to accomplish some of your other goals. I'll quickly go into some of the common pitfalls that students face and how we can overcome them. We often know kind of where students are struggle. As I mentioned, I've been doing teen entrepreneurship for the past 10 years, and the hurdles are a little bit easy to anticipate. So one of them, particularly, it should be no surprise to any of you that are in the Bay Area, is over perfectionism, right? And so we are able to overcome this from day one by teaching really the MVP thinking. And it's a mindset shift where students understand that the pathway to success is in getting to failure as quickly as possible, because that's where the learning lessons are. That's where you'll be redirected to what customers actually care about, unless you're lucky enough to just somehow get it right the first time, which every entrepreneur goes through pivots. And so it's about finding the pivot as quickly as possible. And so that MVP thinking ends up helping students overcoming this sense of perfectionism in other areas of their life as well. Another hurdle is ignoring the judging criteria. We've seen it in various tests in every subject. It's really important to know what the judge perspective is. And so we're going to really make sure that that's not a pitfall that our students face. Time management, right? Again, students naturally get excited at certain phases of the project, maybe the more creative phases where they're doing ideation, or again, when they're doing prototyping, and then a little less excited when it comes to building out financial models or putting together drafts of your pitch deck or written narrative. And so the deadlines are really important in holding the students to not just rushing at the end to slap it all together. Lastly, we have skipping validation. Now, I think this is an important skill, not just when it comes to teen entrepreneurship. As I mentioned, I've been doing startup consulting for quite a while. I've worked with over 150 non-student companies, and I can tell you about over 75% of them did not sufficiently validate their hypothesis prior to moving into product development. And that's really the customer interviews, the MVPs. I was just working with a client the other day, and they didn't know pricing because they hadn't talked to their customers well enough to know how they valued it. And so this is really one of the most fundamental things that you can learn as a teen entrepreneur is the importance of communicating frequently and often with your customers. And so that's a big part of this is getting that validation that I had been talking about earlier, and it really sets the students up for success. And so our goal here through all of this is to help the students have both confidence as well as the competence that will enable them to be successful. Might have ended a little bit early here, but that just gives more time for Q&A. But yeah, just to summarize it all up, it's a 9-week process guided by experts, where the students are led through small group work to keep them progressing and allowing them to get sufficient feedback on everything that they're working on.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Michael.